All right. Probably give it like one more minute and then jump in. I know this week with all you people on the call who are at like colleges and things like that, I don't know how you're doing it with the beginning of the term and all of that starting. So I know everyone is busy. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and start. The first couple slides are just kind of preliminary anyway. So this is the ETPL work group's ProPath review subgroup. And you will have to say that 10 times fast at the end of this call, just so you know, so be prepared, but that's where we're at today. The agenda is we're going to do introductions, go over the ETPL work groups, charge and priorities. And I know there's a few of you from the ETPL work group on this call. So during that section, it will be review, but this is for those of you who aren't familiar with that group. We're going to have an introduction to ProPath from Natasha, and then we're going to go over how we're going to review this tool and then discuss our timeline goals and deliverables, identify a next time to meet, and then do questions and adjournment. All right, so I'm just going to read the names on the Zoom like video box. And if you don't hear your name, you can go ahead and put it in the chat. This is just for our purposes. I'm going to go ahead and start. So we have Greg Harrell,
Yep.
Rory, Peter Kretikos, Molly Cook, Tadal Shalabi, Nate Carlson, Ann Hogan, Adam Levine, I'm not sure, Natasha, and Cliff Smith. All right, so we're gonna do like a popcorn quick introduction to who you are, your position or your entity, and what your experience is with the ETPL before we get started. So I'll just start. And then once I'm done, I'm gonna popcorn to someone else and you all can kind of follow that pattern. I know this is everybody's favorite part of a meeting, so we'll just get it going. But my name's Sarah Blaylock and I work for Illinois Center for Specialized Support. And my position is a workforce coordinator. And so we help support a lot of the IWeb committees and work groups. And my experience with the ETPL was honestly quite limited until this work group. And so I'm here to gain knowledge from you all. And I'm gonna popcorn to Molly.
Hello, everyone. My name is Molly Cook. I work with Sarah. I'm a consultant with the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support. And my experience with the ETPL is very similar. I got to know the ETPL as we started working with this work group and just continue to learn. So I am going to popcorn to Rory.
Hello, I'm Rory Callahan. I'm with Local Workforce Innovation Area 6 for DuPage County, and I work with the training provider, mediation training provider certifications, maintaining programs, although not very well this week. And I can't see Ann, but she's probably laughing. But I do normally try to maintain our programs. And I also work with the sort of as a liaison to the board and then to our staff here with labor market data input from employers on training and job leads and employment and data and input of that nature.
Great.
Oh, I got a popcorn to somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, Marissa. Hello, Marissa.
Hi, Rory. Marissa Lewis with the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership. I am the board liaison and chief policy officer. And my experience with the ETPL has mainly been sort of supporting Ann. I mean, similar to what Rory just said, she manages LWS 7's interfacing with that ETPL, but I in the past have mostly helped with if we need some labor market information to support a petition. We also, I think we've talked about it in this group before, but years ago, Chicago and Cook County did kind of our own little narrowing for what we would fund, and so I kind of led that effort. And as we've added more occupations to our list over the years, I've kind of been involved in that as well. So yeah, mainly kind of a supporting role with the ETPL, but happy to be here because I like to think about it from the user experience and whether that user is the training provider or the customer. Just what how can that process be the best that it can be, so we're getting the right training providers there, and so that our customers are getting the right information and able to choose, and it's not burdensome for anyone to use. So I kind of joined a minute late. So in terms of popcorning, I'm going to randomly choose and then tell me, oh, I know Adam. Adam, did you go?
No, I'll go. Yeah, Adam Levine. I'm with World Business Chicago, and I lead our talent and workforce strategy. Work close with the partnership and the county on WIOA programs. I also have a background in 3 different community-based organizations that ran WIA and WIOA programs, and I started as a case manager 15 years ago using, so I don't do the I have no real involvement with an ETL application or developing the list, but walking job seekers through searching for approved trainings and providers. And then I spent the last 10 years doing data analytics. And so, yeah, I like just piggybacking on Marissa's point, I have some thoughts on the user experience of accessing all the training eligible trainings, the training providers, and the Illinois WorkNet site. I will pass it to Ann Hogan.
Got me. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
I'm Ann Hogan. I work with Chicago Workforce Partnership. I do kind of like Rory. I maintain and manage the programs in LWS 7. I am familiar with the ETPL. We write several thousand vouchers per year, at least, to go to training. And as a part of our process, participants, after their assessment and all that kind of thing, once they find a suitable occupation for them, they have to do a lot of research. So number one, we use the ETPL for them to do research, find several programs in that area. So say it was paralegal. Then they also have to contact those schools and go to them with like exploration forms to like find out more about the different schools. And then on the back end, so then say they choose a school after their visit, if it was like South Suburban College Paralegal, right? We have paperwork to process the voucher through our third party financial statement. And the career coach then takes the information off of Illinois WorkNet to make up that request. That request goes over to our third-party vendor who checks Illinois WorkNet to make sure that the costs are aligned. So we use it for number one, research. So yeah, any information you can give the student or whatever is great. And then also you'll hear me like making sure that the costs are relayed efficiently and clearly, because if they're off, the vouchers are going to get kickbacks. So that's really important to me. So
Thanks, Ann.
Mhm.
Do you want to popcorn to another?
I will do Natasha.
Hello, my name is Natasha Telger. I'm with SIU Center for Workforce Development and the Associate Director there. And we have been, I'm familiar with the ETPL by working with the various tools that we offer through Illinois WorkNet. We have an Illinois WorkNet search. I'm sorry, WIO approved training program search that's through Illinois WorkNet. And then those tools are integrated with other resources to help individuals, go through the exploring careers, exploring training programs, and so forth. And also, we've been working with the information that is in IWDS and the current process and data collected and how that's collected. And we've been working with that information and mapping it or translating it, I guess you say, mapping it, putting it in ProPath. So that is my experience with the ETPL.
Great, Natasha.
Okay, so now my memory, I'm trying to keep.
Yeah,
I don't think have we had Peter?
No.
All right.
Peter, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sorry, I'm
No, you're fine.
actually sitting outside of a hockey rink in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
So with my grandson learning how to skate. Anyway, that's why I'm not on video too, because it's a kind of a sketchy connection. I'm Peter Kretikos. I run the Institute for Work in the Economy. My direct background in terms of utilization of ETPL is very, very limited, if at all. Historically, though, I was around workforce when such things as an ETPL was being created for the first time. And so my focus would be now as then, which is the is actually the performance of the ETPL system in providing would-be job seekers with high quality opportunities and training, and so it is really my focus would be and is on the quality and the results of the training providers themselves. That was a major item of debate when this thing was first started, and I suspect it would still be a matter of some contention today. My work is primarily on the policy side of things and workforce development, so that would sort of tie into that. As to popcorning, let me get the list up.
Do you want me to
So
popcorn
we
for
have
you?
not heard from. No, I got the list in front of
Okay,
me.
perfect.
And somebody dropped out. I had in mind. So have we heard from Felicia?
Nope.
Okay, you're up.
And I apologize, Felicia, if I'm getting your name wrong. If you want to unmute and introduce yourself, that would be great.
She said her mic isn't working in the chat.
Oh, well, that's helpful. Okay. Well, then, if you want to introduce yourself in the chat. Looks like. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. If you want to add more, feel free. If not, I'll just popcorn. Angela Morrison.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angela Morrison. I use she, her pronouns. I am a policy engagement manager from the Chicago Jobs Council. And I am familiar with the ETPL list through the work we've done most recently with the IWIB Equity Task Force and how that was really a point of conversation within the policy work group discussions. I'm also familiar with it through the work that we do at the Jobs Council by sitting on the committees at the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership, the Service Delivery Committee, and the Youth Committee. And from my previous work experience in the field, actually from direct workforce services at different community-based organizations that were funded through WIA and then WIOA as well. And I will popcorn it over to Cliff. Did we hear from Cliff?
No.
Oh, not yet. Hi, everyone. My name is Cliff Smith. I'm a career specialist with career specialist project lead with Lake County, LWEO 1. My experience with the ETPL is limited, other than referring customers to the approved list to help them with their career choices. So I'm looking forward to learning more about this entire process. And I don't know if there's anyone left.
Greg,
Greg. Yeah,
Yeah.
Greg's left. The anticipation killed me the whole time. My name's Greg Harley. I'm the apprenticeship coordinator for Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local 23. I believe I was asked to be on this because I think I was the first apprenticeship program, at least within building trades within the state of Illinois, to take advantage of WIOA funding after President Obama in 2015 made us eligible. I've sat on our review committee, and what has changed names like 6 times since I've been on it. It's currently the Workforce Connection. It covers Winnebago, Boone, Stevenson County. I've been on it for about 12 years, and I sit on our eligible provider list review committee for that. And we're trying to get some consistency of what people bring to the table when they try to get their program approved, because it's been all over the place throughout the years I've been on there. So yeah, I've been our apprenticeship coordinator for 12 years. I've been a pipe fitter for 25 and taught at our training center for 19. So that's my background. And is anybody left that I get to popcorn to, or I'm going to send it back to you, Sarah?
Well, we can do, does Nate, do you want to go next?
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody.
Oh, sorry, Nate.
No worries at all, Greg. I'm Nate Keeham. I'm with LWEA 23 as a workforce analyst and apprenticeship navigator. My use of ETPL, similar to, I believe, what Natasha said, is through WorkNet search functions. When I work with clients to develop apprenticeship programs, we sometimes look to incumbent worker training funds or on-the-job training funds through WIOA. And so using the ETPL is a helpful tool in that.
Great, Nate.
And I will popcorn to Sergio.
Hey, thanks, Nate. This is Sergio Mendoza. I work on the west side of the state in the Quad City area. We actually share a border with Iowa, so we have different training programs throughout here. We have a American Job Center here locally. We also have Iowa Works on the Iowa side. I specifically work on a grant with the Iowa DOT to get more diversity in construction and truck driving careers. So we do refer students from Illinois to other places, and from Iowa, we do refer them to different grant options. I'm also with the Greater Quad Cities Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and we do a lot of referrals when we get questions for job training in the area. And we also get questions from different companies in the area that are looking for a diverse workforce. So that's my experience with the ETPL here locally. Thanks.
Thanks, Sergio. And I think that's everyone. Let me just scan through the participant list. Okay, I think everyone's introduced themselves. And thank you all for joining. I'm going to go over quickly what the ETPL work group's priorities are. So we just met you all. Thank you for being here. This is what the ETPL policy work group is focused on, 4 main priorities. We need to, not you all, but the entire ETPL work group is set to revise the current ETPL policy based on some Department of Labor feedback, assure that the ETPL follows those findings, and then address the pending equity task force recommendations. And I know a few of you at least were a part of that equity task force group, so you'll be familiar with those. And then we need to provide a revised policy. And it says September, but it's actually December. So that's our main priorities. And where this group sits within the ETPL work group is there's a lot of work to be done. I'm sure if you've involved a little bit in ETPL, you know, it's kind of a mini pronged situation. So we have one group of the ETPL helping revise the policy writing subgroup. And then you all are a part of the ProPath review subgroup, and you're going to help us give some feedback to the policy writers and the work group on how, you know, where we're at in this search function. So here's the structure, kind of breaking that down a little further. Policy Ready Group is revising the ETPL policy. You all are focused on reviewing ProPath, search function, and providing feedback to the entire ETPL work group. And then the work group will review the findings of both subgroups and make recommendations to the IWeb and also how to implement the ETF recommendations. So that's kind of where we're at. And now, if there's no questions, I'm going to kick it over to Natasha to kind of delve into the meat of this.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to just go ahead and advance the slides for me, or can I? Oh, wait, okay. All right. Yes. So my name is Natasha Telger, and one of the programs that we work on is Illinois WorkNet. And just a little bit of background on the Illinois WorkNet. We have a variety of tools that are available that help people, explore careers, training, credentials, preparing for jobs, finding job openings, networking, connecting, and so forth. So we have a variety of tools and resources and guides. And one of those tools that we have with our training and credentials section is the WIOA approved training provider search. So on the next slide. And within this page, we have text at the top of the page, provides some background information. And then currently we have, a search that we've had for quite a while. The data in that search actually comes from IWDS, which is the federal reporting system. And there's the current policy has that information uses a process where they enter that information into that reporting system, and it has an approval process, and that information is there, as I said, to use for reporting. Well, one of the features that we have is that we pull that information into Illinois WorkNet and put it into a search display, so people can research the different programs, they can bookmark it, all kinds of nifty things like that. So one of the things that we've been working on with ProPath is actually it's powered by the credential engine. And what we've done over the years is take that information that's currently in the reporting system and map it to what's called I think it's the CTDL. It's a way that it's a common schema, it's a common way to organize information so that it's easy to find. You can use that information in a variety of ways. So that's kind of exciting because now we've taken data that's out of just kind of a silo in a reporting system and put it in a format that can be used in so many different ways. So that's the exciting part. So what we have right here for you, and one of the things we're going to ask you to take a look at is the ProPath credential finder widget. So we're using it in a way that you can look for learning opportunities, look for training programs. And as I said before, this information is the information that's coming from the existing database that's been translated and put into this more usable data format for other things. So if you want to go to the next page, next link or slide. Whenever you look at this page, if you could think about it from various perspectives, from an individual's perspective, a career planner, a training provider, or, what are some of the other users that may be going to the WIO approved training program search page? What kind of information is meaningful to them? At the top, what's the most important? Because then we can work with you to update that content to best, speak to the target audience.
And I'm just going to point out, it's this, if you can see my cursor, Natasha's referring to this section at the top of the page, just for context.
Thank you. And then on the bottom half of the page is the search tool. So when you look at this, what information, what kind of content is most important for the user, whether it's the individual, career planner, training providers, and then what content is missing, or maybe it needs to be adjusted for the end user. I believe it was Anne that said, it's very important to have costs. And so, for making sure that everything goes through smoothly and is reported the right way. Um, so, maybe, is additional information needed there, or, um, you know, I don't know what all the different scenarios are, but if there's information that you feel is needed that we don't currently collect or display, then, please take note of that so that we can, um, figure out how to address that overall within content and the tools.
So we just reviewed that really quickly. But the purpose, we want you all's feedback and review. And so here is how you access that I'm gonna say they call it a sandbox link. So this isn't like a live link. This is kind of like a, Natasha, I'm gonna say dummy link. Does that make sense? Is that like an appropriate?
Yeah, I mean,
term?
yep. I mean, you can access it
Oh,
and
don't reach another mudsling here, man. We're all adults. Let's not insult each other. Just kidding.
That's true. Sorry, Rory.
No, I'm
if,
just teasing.
if I offended you. No, I'm joking. But yeah, so I won't say demo link. This is a link that isn't live to the public. This would just be one that we can review, and it's not kind of out there free floating on the web.
Well, no, it is free floating on the web. It's
Oh,
out
no,
there
no.
because anybody can access this link as long as you have the link, but it's not currently hooked up within Illinois WorkNet's menu. But we did put it out there available so that you can review the information. But all the information that's in the sandbox is the same production information that's in Illinois WorkNet that's
Yep.
coming from IWDS. So it's not fake information that's out there.
Yes, that's not what I meant to say at all. And then below, here's a SurveyMonkey link to walk you through that review. In the same thing that Natasha just said, and the context of what content should we share? Does this, from your perspective, make sense for your uses? There's a whole bunch of questions in there. Do we have any questions at this point? We're good.
Oh, you're gonna send the survey monkey link, or is this? I didn't know if you were doing like
Yes.
a poll question during the webinar now that I should be looking for.
No, these were
Survey.
both sent out. We'll send the slide deck, and I'll also send,
Oh, no problem.
email the link to the sandbox link and the ProPath. That way you all have it.
No, that's fine. I just want to make sure I didn't miss the slide for if we were doing it like a poll. I was thinking like a poll question thing. So.
To that, so we've talked about this now, about the purpose of this group, reviewing ProPath. And Natasha, thank you so much for walking us through it. And then this group, we'll collect all the surveys and kind of do a quick qualitative research crosswalk and then provide it to the work group. And the deliverable is to create recommendations for ProPath and, earmark any information we need to collect within the policy to make the search better, and identify a company information for guidance for users. There's also a conversation that we will pilot. We will also do a focus group for job seekers or end users, and we would need your feedback on that as well. So the timeline we have to complete the survey is 1 week. So next Wednesday, we'll ask that you send the survey back to us. I guess you don't have to send it back to us. Just be complete with the survey. And that is going on the sandbox link, messing around with the different links, the search functions, and then filling out the survey based on your feedback. And then we, at the 2-week mark, Molly and I will have compiled you all's results or common themes, and we will discuss those. And then as a group, we will create recommendations for the work group and then determine language and content for users, and also identify if our survey would be appropriate for an end user, and maybe identify how we can reach those end user types. So I know that's a lot. Are you all still with me so far?
This is Ann. I have a question. My question would be on the survey. I haven't seen it, but is there parts of the survey where if there isn't a corresponding question, we can still provide input?
Yes. So the survey, there's a lot of open, it's basically a lot of comment boxes. There's
Okay.
not, which is helpful, you know, if, it's really open-ended questions. Do you feel like something's missing? What's your favorite? You know, things like that. If you don't feel like your specific input correlates with any of the survey questions, you can email me. Molly and I are really great at, we're fine with that. If you feel like it doesn't fit, we want to make sure that we hear you. So I do feel like we were pretty comprehensive on the survey, but you know, Molly and I created it, so I'm obviously biased. So I'm going to own that. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, I think maybe I'm late to this, so sorry if this is redundant from past work, but is this a whole new website that's getting created to replace Illinois WorkNet, or can I just have a little bit of context on what the ProPath is?
Natasha, do you want to field that one? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it's not replacing Illinois WorkNet. What it's doing is replacing the existing search that's used for the current data that's being pulled from IWDS. So Illinois WorkNet has lots of content and apps and so forth. And this is just one of those apps that's being replaced, and it's the search. And so really, you know, just kind of forward thinking is that, like I said, that's taking the data that was, you know, strictly in a reporting system and now putting that into basically like a language or a way, it's called linked data, where it can be used for, and you know, used to power other tools and make connections. So that's the big thing that goes with it. But it's essentially replacing the existing search for the ETPL.
So
And
yep.
Sorry, it's so oh, I almost lost my train of thought here. So there was some, aside from the substantive feedback that'll be helpful on the survey, there was some like technical glitches there are currently technical glitches on the service on the training provider search page of Illinois WorkNet. So this is a new platform, so that wouldn't be migrated over, right?
No, like I said, it's using the data that's
Gotcha.
entered into IWDS, but it's a
Great.
different search tool.
Cool. Thank you.
My understanding is that it wasn't a glitch, or technically, the cynical side of me with DOL is I'm chalking it up to the, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, still fix it. So no, actually, Illinois WorkNet's training provider search tool was working quite well, but there was something to the effect. RLW was one of the ones selected when DOL came out to do when Arlene Chavino from DOL did the state monitoring. So I think this is more for, correct me if I'm wrong, for expanding access, making it easier, not just for customers or job seekers, but also training providers to find. I think they want to make sure DOL's pushes that, you know, expanding customer choice so that training providers don't have to know of a specific, you know, government programs website to go into to explore training options and to see, hey, maybe we might have programs how do we become a training provider? So I think that was part of the policy rewriting as well. So I think it's like more for expanding access. But I think technically, I don't know. I would defer obviously to Natasha, and I think technically Illinois WorkNet, the site itself was fine. I don't think there was any.
I have like a bunch of, we don't have to spend time on this, but I feel like a bunch of like evidence of the glitch. I've been trying to follow up with folks about it. And there's I submitted some reports through the inbox, but conversation for a different meeting.
Yeah,
No,
so
it's highly possible. And yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't speak for the whole site itself because again, I mean, my experience is just using it limited to providers like in my little niche of the state. So for the ones I'm looking for, I can find, but you could, yeah, there could be definitely things where the search isn't coming up. So yeah, I'm sorry. I probably spoke out of turn there. I can't speak authoritatively if the site is, it may have errors on how it's retrieving and putting data. I was just saying that from what we heard from DOL as far as the reason for the switch, was any technical issues with Illinois WorkNet notwithstanding. The reason was, I think, more to expand more visibility, ease of access, that kind of thing. The format, making it as accessible as possible. So just to clarify.
and that was also a finding that the Equity Task Force found as well, that we need to make this, equitably accessible to users. So this is what's on the PowerPoint. The top half looks familiar. The bottom half is normally, or historically, that like map, right? The LWM with all the different things. And so ProPath will be replacing that section of the page, just to be clear. Did that answer your question, Adam? Okay, perfect. And then does anyone else have any questions before we try to nail down a time for review?
Yeah, I have one question, and I'm sure if you went over this, but we use the DOTL framework to identify SOC codes, and we go into Illinois WorkNet to do searches. Are we touching on that at all with this, or is it just searching for approved providers?
I'm not, Natasha, can you give some background? This won't be, I don't think SOC codes and things like that will be involved in this oh, it is.
You can look up SOC codes. You can look up using SOC codes and SIP codes.
Is it going to match what the DOTL framework is, those codes there, or is this project really about that?
Well, the data that is entered in IWDS, whatever SOC code is associated with that, it uses those SOC codes. So even on the details page, it has the information that links to not only the career information for that particular SOC code, but then also the career information Illinois specific link as well.
Cliff, did that answer your question?
Sure, thank you.
Okay. So you can search by SOC codes, or however you use the search currently. And like Natasha said, this is just taking oh, Rory?
Oh, no, go ahead, finish. I accidentally hit here's me talking about like, oh, technically, like I know what I'm doing, and I can't even do the raise hand thing on Zoom thing. I did the clap and stuff. So sorry, I did have a question, but by all means, I'm sorry. I'll let you finish.
No, go for it.
Oh no, I was just gonna, yeah, I'm not sure. His question might be, yeah, it might be related. I think Mark, at the previous meeting, I think Mark Burgess had asked that either that or in the chat room, and I think they said they were gonna look into that. But yeah, I think he mentioned something too, as far as would there be any kind of filter or limit in the results when you're searching for possible training programs? If you're going to search by the occupation type, would it sort of limit or filter to occupations that are only included on the DOTL? So that might be something, as far as the answer to that question. It might have been something. I could be wrong. I want to say I remember something in the chat. So I was gonna say, like, if you go over the chat notes from like a couple of sessions ago, I think Mark Burgess had asked or commented something on that. But the ProPath will do, as Illinois WorkNet currently is doing, it's retrieving all the training program data from IWDS, correct? That part's not changing, if I understand correctly. So okay, so then yeah, I guess we're kind of at the mercy of the training providers or the LWIA and LWIB staff that enter and recertify the programs in the IWDS training provider directory. is something that I'm sure Ann and all the other areas are doing as well. You know, we've been going through and making sure that, you know, if there are ONET or SOC codes and titles in the program descriptions for those programs in IWDS, if there's ones that are kind of expired or expiring or that are no longer on the DOTL, where we've been going through the programs that we own, that we maintain, like, you know, College of DuPage and that, and just trying to make sure that we're eliminating the ones, but it's a work in progress. So, you know, when you pull a training program, it may still have of the ONET codes or SOC titles that are related to that training. There might still be one or two that are given a low priority or a 0 and or not included on the DOTL, but as far as whether those would come up or not, the training programs, they should have at least one that is on the DOTL, but some of like the manufacturing or like electromechanical ones, you could put up to 3 to 5, I think, ONET codes in the training program description in IWDS when you create and recertify a training program. So there's at least one in there that is allowable, that's aligned with the focus, the content of the training program, the occupation that's aligned with it. But there might be a couple that, that manage to still be included. So it's just a matter of it's just a matter, I guess, of eradicating or replacing those in IWDS by the LWIAs.
Yeah, and I think this is the opportunity, especially when you're updating the policy, is to, again, identify the things that you need that aren't there, and the cost is the main one that I can think of that's been brought up, but because there's an opportunity for us to map it in different ways, using the ProPath schema on how it's organized, which allows it to be interoperative with, other tools. So that's what we're really moving towards, is being able to use that data and make connections in other ways, whether it's to career pathways, transfer value, different things like that.
Thanks, Natasha. Thanks, Rory. Are we all still doing well?
I just had a question, and it'll probably be on the survey. Okay. But another thing that's important to us, other than the cost, another thing is the location. And I know we had like the search by LWIA feature. I think I was looking at the search feature and I put in Cook County today, and I got counties all over the country. But I don't know what the parameters are, or maybe that'll be part of the survey question.
The survey questions, like I said, are very open-ended. Like,
okay.
What issues did you find?
I didn't know how to search.
The search. Natasha, do you want me to have
by workforce area or miles, or?
We have it by, just the filter for LWIA and then search, but I think it's looking for like actual location for the in or near. One of the things that we have asked them to look at is a miles radius search.
Right, because that was like, I mean, I think like a flaw on Illinois work is the thing where that is right. But people will want to know, like, I want to go like 30 miles from my house, or within my radius of 30 miles, what's available. So, that's just one of those important things.
We found that, I mean, when this goes back to maybe March, April, February, when we were developing it, Paula and Mark had sent to some of the OAs, asking them to do like the beta version of the site to kind of test it. And we it was one of the things I think we cited and provided with our feedback then, and I was just testing it again today. But I just didn't know if this is something to bring up now or in a subsequent meeting when we're after everyone else has had a chance to play around with the site. I don't want to hijack it, but to your point, the mile radius thing, even if you can't get we were kind of spoiled with Illinois working, because you could do like, I think it was like 10, 15, 25. You had a lot of choices. Right. Even if you don't have that many choices, like Ann said, at least something like, 5, 10, 50, because the in or near, or if they could at least define in ProPath, well, what is near? Like what did they program into ProPath when you put near? Because I'll give you an example. I typed in the keyword just CDL, all caps. And I didn't even put near Glen Ellen. I put 60137 and it recognized the zip code for Glen Ellen. Now it might not necessarily be the first one that comes up because the results could be alphabetical and numeric. So like 160 Driving Academy is going to be before the letters, and then Alpha Truck Drive, I get it. But we were getting like Coda or Crota, like places up in like Skokie or downstate, Danville. We had to scroll. I mean, I can share my screen, but I think I can explain it verbally. We had to scroll really, really far down before we got to College of DuPage's commercial truck driving CDL training programs. And they're in Glen Ellen. They're in 60137. So that would be, so as a functionality thing, that was something that we weren't sure if that's because they're working on maybe developing, like you said, Natasha, maybe a way to put in a command where we could filter the parameters by mile radius from a zip code. And if they can't, that's fine. But we just didn't know what in versus near meant, because I think those are the only two choices in the drop box when you search by location. So
yeah, at the top.
we did near Glen Ellen or 60137. And again, we were getting results, schools from, it would almost have been if we just didn't have a zip code. It was all over the state. But then we did in 60137 and it was still, like 20 or 25 programs, down on the list. So that was a question we had too about the location thing, and if they could maybe do that, adjust that, and give us those options to search by radius.
Rory, I put in Cook County and I didn't know there was a lot of Cook counties in the United States. So I ended up with all these Cook counties, and then I picked our Cook County, and then I was getting like Joliet Junior College, and I was like DuPage. I'm like, no, not Cook County. So that's got to be honed in on. So
yeah.
And all of that, like I said, the survey is open-ended. So put that in there. We want, we're gonna read them all and use them and have a conversation about all the feedback when we meet again in 2 weeks. And if no one else has any other questions, are we good? I want to make sure that I get to everyone. Okay. So the next kind of item on our to-do list is to schedule a 2-week check-in. And because this is a smaller group, I was hoping we could just pop into our calendars now and identify a time that most of us can meet instead of, the rigmarole of doodle polls that I know you all love getting from us. So I'm going to stop sharing and get into my calendar and just say so 2 weeks from now is Wednesday, September 7th, if you can believe it. Doesn't have to be right around that date. But 6th, 7th, 8th, how are we feeling about those days?
Yeah, I'm available on the 7th.
On the 7th? Okay.
7th works for me also.
I'm available too. Mornings are great.
Mornings? Okay.
Anyone else?
How do we feel like the morning of September 7th?
yeah, I'm available after 10. Dan.
6th, 7th, 8th are good for me too. Yeah.
7th to the 8th. All right, Sergio, Nate, Cliff, Angela, Marissa, Peter,
Hey.
Philippe.
I'm good.
Okay.
The 7th, the morning of the 7th is good for me.
Morning of the 7th.
That works for me, Marissa.
The 7th works for me. The 8th as well.
I'll be unavailable all morning. I'm unavailable all morning the 7th, but I don't want to stop the group. It works for everybody else.
Okay.
I'm at a, this is Pete. I'm at a conference on the 7th and 8th. If we could do the 6th, it's fine. 7th, it depends on what's going on, but yeah, I can pop in probably.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
My preference would be the more. Oh, hold on. I gotta get my calendar. My preference would be in the morning. We could do that.
Okay.
On the 7th.
Okay. So what does morning look like for you all? 8, 9?
Gan said after 10.
Okay,
Yeah,
10.
I do earlier, if needed, but
Oh, I'm sorry, Ann. Were you busy you're free after 10 or up to 10?
after 10.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh, after 10. So 9 to 10.
I mean, I'm busy until 10.
Busy until 10. Okay.
And I'm, you know,
She's free after 10.
Okay. Okay. I'm
after
getting
10,
my
yeah.
prepositions all messed up. Okay. So 10 to 11. I'm gonna just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Perfect. And then Adam, you can't come. I'll send out a follow-up email. All of this information will be on the email. The PowerPoint will have the links specified and also that deadline of August 31st to get that Survey Monkey in. And then we'll make sure to, again, give some feedback to the group. And then at that 2-week meeting, we'll go over our deliverables, recommendations, and kind of identify the next step in this process. Okay, we're feeling good? We're super excited to review this search tool. Okay, all right. Well, thank you all for joining. And Nate gave a very excited celebration emoji. I'm very excited about that. Okay, so I will see you all on the 7th and then hear from you all, or I won't hear from you, but I'll be checking into that survey on the 31st. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great
Yep,
rest of your
thanks.
day.
All right.